I would now like to introduce our guest speaker, Dr. Ishan Arya. Dr. Arya is currently the Deputy Head and Dean at International House Melbourne. He holds an impressive record of teaching over 25,000 students from 120 countries over his career. He has visited Singapore and China to train academics and executives in business economics and leadership. Dr. Arya has received the Best Lecturer University Award and several community leadership awards. He has also been invited to speak at the G20 Summit about youth leadership, and he lectures at some of the world's top universities, delivering courses for professional and executive MBA programs in business strategy, international business, international HRM, international trade, strategic management, and entrepreneurship and innovation. Dr. Arya has mentored entrepreneurs at the Business Melbourne Incubation Hub and trained them in design thinking. He co-introduced Jiu-Jitsu in India, ran a successful martial arts business, and founded his registered martial arts style, Arya Kai Gojuru. It is with great pleasure that I would now like to welcome Dr. Ishan Arya to the podium.
Thank you. I would also like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nations as the traditional custodians of the lands on where we have this ceremony today, and pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. So good afternoon, everyone, distinguished faculty, families, and above all, the graduating class. Thank you for inviting me to be a part of your milestone. It is both an honor and deeply personal moment to stand here with you. Today is not just the end of a degree for you. It is the beginning of a new chapter, one that you will write with your choices, your values, your courage, and your resilience. A degree may be printed on a paper, but what you have really earned is the strength of perseverance, the insight to reflect, and the determination to shape the world around you. So let me start with a story, one that many of you may know. I'm sure your families would know. Let's pick up the pen. A young woman boards a bus in Montgomery, Alabama. She's tired from work, but more tired of a system that treats her as less than. She was asked to give up her seat on a bus and move at the back. Rosa Parks refuses. The moment that changed the world, because one person's decision not to move sparked a civil rights movement. Closer to home, here in Australia, Eddie Mabo, despite years of resistance, stood firm in his fight to have Indigenous and land rights recognized in Australia. His persistence led to the historic 1992 High Court decision overturning the concept of terra nullius, reshaping how Australia understands sovereignty and justice. So these stories remind us of something powerful. Change doesn't always begin with people already at the front. No offense in people at the front. I was sitting at the front, but so it's not always with people sitting at the front. Sometimes it begins with those pushed at the back. And just as Rosa Parks' bus seat became a symbol and Mabo's name a landmark ruling, so too can your life become a story of transformation. We live in a world that often believes that only the biggest names and top institutions produce the most brilliant minds. There is this quiet assumption that the group of 8 universities, but I'm a part of them, or the most prestigious institutions are always at the front of the bus. But history tells us otherwise. Sometimes it's the students from a small regional campus who build the next great innovation. Sometimes it's the underdog who writes the laws, leads the company, or heals the community. I speak from my personal experience as well. I'm an Indian Australian. I was born in India. I came to Australia 18 years ago. I'm proud of both the identities. And at the moment, I'm also the only Indian member currently sitting across the entire University of Melbourne's network of deans and deputy heads. So this hasn't come without hardship. In fact, I want to share with you a setback I rarely speak of. During my undergraduate studies, my first attempt at undergraduate studies was in India. Guess what happened? Things that you just hear on the news, maybe on YouTube, happened to me. My exam answer sheets were stolen and they were sold in the black market. It's happened. I've lived that experience. You hear these rackets on the news, but I lived it. I failed multiple subjects. I just couldn't pass my degree because my answer sheets were stolen and sold in the black market. Now, this was humiliating, it was unfair, and it was very demoralizing for me. At one point, I felt like giving up, but thanks to my parents as well, I decided to give myself a second chance and travel to Australia and restart. I appealed in India, but the cases just went on. Eventually, in Australia, I completed my degree, but not just completed my degree. I wanted to make a point. I wanted to make a point to the system that stole my papers, that did not let me graduate. I won 3 gold medals, received 2 Dean's Commendation Awards, and also became a proud member of the Golden Key Honours Society. So that's for high achieving students. That was my answer to the system. And from there, I went on to earn multiple postgraduate degrees. I've also contributed to academia and leadership at different educational institutions. So it's not about me. Let me tell you this clearly. Your setbacks do not define your ceiling. Okay, there could be setbacks in the future. Okay, life is not all wishy-washy. So your setbacks also shape your story. Okay? They don't just shape your story, they do not write your ending. You do. And yes, I say this with even greater emphasis for international students. I believe most of you are international students here because I know, I've been there firsthand, that your journey is even more complicated. You have moved across oceans, you have navigated a new education system, you have lived through cultural shocks as well, visa stress, homesickness, and often financial hardship. And yet, so many of you continue to show extraordinary grit and generosity. Let me tell you from my own students as well, former students. This was a group of students in their second semester, so they were pretty new to Australia. It had been 7 or 8 months in Australia. They won an entrepreneurship competition and they designed a concept designed to combat loneliness among the elderly in Victoria, talking about international students contributing to local elderly Australians. Their idea to connect elderly Australians with digital skills, companionship, and access to essential services using technology, but with empathy at its core. These students were new to the country. They are still finding their feet. Right now, they're still finding their feet. And yet, their instinct was not to ask, what can I get? It was, whom can I help? And that is what education is, the best that it looks. That is the kind of leadership that we need. And that is the kind of example we must all strive to set. Degrees are not just for employment, they are for impact. Don't let society reduce your education to a mere transaction. A degree should not be just a ticket to a salary. It is a responsibility, it is a privilege, and an invitation to serve. Whether you become a lawyer, a nurse, a software engineer, a chef, a teacher, ask not just what can I earn, but whom can I uplift? Impact doesn't have to look like a global, doesn't have to look like a global stage. It can be a quiet act of mentoring someone younger. It can be advocating for inclusion at your workplace. It can be saying no when others are silent. It can be caring for a loved one with dignity. These are the moments that matter. But let's not sugarcoat it. The world you're entering is tough. You will face rejections. You may apply for roles that never call you back. You may be overlooked, misjudged, or underestimated. But hear me, every no is not the end. It is a redirection. It is life's way of building your character before your breakthrough. I remember my 6-year-olds. Remember, resilience isn't doing everything alone. Even marathon runners need water stations. Rely on your support systems. Support systems at the front over here. Okay? Your family, your friends, your mentors, and never forget to be someone else's water station as well. And in your pursuit of greatness, don't lose yourself. A job title is not your worth. A high salary is not happiness. Sometimes the most meaningful act you will do is sit with someone in pain, speak up against injustice, or keep going when it would be easier to quit. So, class of 2025, I want you to walk out of here today knowing that you are already enough. The world will try to convince you otherwise, but it is your values, your voice, your perseverance, and your kindness that will carry you forward. So let me leave you with this: build a life, not just a career. Build a legacy, not just a LinkedIn profile. And if anyone ever tells you to sit at the back, politely, firmly, proudly say no. The front row is not reserved, it is earned. And you have the very right, to take your seat. Congratulations, graduates. The world is waiting for your impact.
Thank you so much, Dr. Arya. I got goosebumps listening